Hmm.
It was discovered in 1941 by
Maybe.
Arnold Beckman.
Okay.
It is of bonding ability and non-bonding ability theory.
Okay.
In bonding, there is sigma and pi, not
Okay.
n. Application is analyzing chromophoric substances.
Okay.
Just look for that.
Hmm.
And instrumentation is of two types, single beam and double beam.
Okay.
In single beam, it is divided into two based on cost and monochromators,
Hmm.
filters, and spectrophotometers. In double beam, spectrophotometers.
Okay, ma'am. Hmm. What are the common parts of spectrophotometer? What are the common parts of spectrophotometer? Anybody else? We have seen the scheme representation, no, of spectrophotometer. Okay, anyway, thank you, Akashna. We'll revise the same what we have discussed in the last class, and then we'll move on to the remaining topics. We have seen in the last class regarding UV visible spectroscopy. The concepts behind the UV visible spectroscopy we have started discussing with the revision to introduction on spectroscopy, where the contents of UV visible spectroscopy, what you are going to learn principle and instrumentation, quantitative pharmaceutical applications, and spectrophotometric titrations. Okay, and then we have discussed introduction part where we have seen history, theory, and applications of UV visible spectroscopy. And in principle and instrumentation, we have seen the subtitles and the schematic representation of the instrumentation of spectrophotometer. Then we have seen the classification of instrumentation, that is single beam and double beam instrumentation. Can you see the slides and can you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So instrumentation classification we have seen based on the cost of instrument and based on the sample compartment used and based on the monochromator used and intensity of radiation used for analysis. We have seen different types of instruments, single beam and double beam, where filters, spectrophotometers are found. Now let's move on to the each part of spectrophotometer present. Okay. First one is source of light. We require light source. Already I explained what is light source. It is the source for electromagnetic radiation. That is UV visible radiation. Source for UV visible radiation as discussed under this title. So what is source of light? It indicates radiation source for UV and visible radiation. For UV radiation, it is of D2 lamp. You can observe the image representing D2 lamp. D2 represents a deuterium lamp. It gives the radiation from the range of 200 to 400 nanometer. 200 to 400 nanometer. That is UV range, and this range of radiation is derived from D2 lamp. D2 represents it is isotope of hydrogen. Hydrogen with two mass number is called as D2. Deuterium. Deuterium represents isotope of hydrogen. So D2 lamp is nothing but hydrogen lamp. Hydrogen, usually hydrogen mass number is 1 proton. It exists in three isotopic forms, right? Proton, deuterium, and tritium. Where deuterium with a even mass number is used for as the source for UV radiation. So when used switch on the D2 lamp, which contains hydrogen filament, deuterium filament, it will emit the radiation of 200 to 400 nanometer. Okay, and where visible radiation is obtained from tungsten lamp. W represents tungsten lamp. It ranges from 400 to 800 nanometers. So this is what tungsten lamp, that is visible lamp. From this radiation we could differentiate the colors. Okay, what we are using in our house. Okay, for lighting purpose. So that is you are called as, that is made with tungsten lamp. It is giving visible radiation. The range is 400 to 800 nanometers. So the totally D2 and W means UV visible range is varying from 200 to 800 nanometer. Okay, and what is the mechanism of source of light? What it does, how it emits radiation. When it is switched on, it is emitting radiation energy. Light energy is emitted. So what is the mechanism of emitting radiation is, it converts electrical energy to radiation energy. When you are supplying electrical current to the lamp, when the electrical current is passed to the lamp, it emits radiation energy. Okay, so the hydrogen or tungsten present inside the lamp will get activated and it emits the radiation. Okay, by absorbing electrical energy, it is emitting radiation energy. That means electrons are converted to photons here. So the mechanism of source of light is conversion of electrons to photons. Electrons to photons. Photons are what? It's new. So radiation energy. What type of photons are emitted? UV and visible photons. Of what is the range? 200 to 400 nanometer. And this nanometer, what it represents? Wavelength. So when wavelength increases, energy decreases. That means at UV range, energy of radiation is high, where at the end of visible range, energy of radiation is less. Got it? What I'm saying? Energy of UV radiation starting point here at 200 nanometer is high. Energy of radiation is high. Why it is high? Since the wavelength is less, only 200. Where at 800 nanometer, energy will be low since the wavelength is high. So UV radiation will be having higher energy than visible radiation. Where sigma electrons will absorb below this 200 nanometer. That means sigma electrons require more amount of radiation or more amount of energy for its activation. That's why it will be absorbing between 100 and 200 nanometer below UV region. That region is called vacuum UV region. Vacuum UV region. Okay, so in vacuum UV region only sigma electrons will absorb. So between 200 and 400 nanometer, your pi electrons will absorb the radiation. That is why pi electron containing compounds are, that means a conjugated system or unsaturation system containing compounds are responsible mainly for UV visible absorption. Okay, it is excluding sigma bonds and sigma electrons since they require more energy for activation. That means less wavelength radiation is required. So they will absorb between 100 and 200 nanometer in vacuum UV region. Okay, so that is the.
Excuse me, ma'am.
What?
Ma'am, baby Kartika wants to join.
Okay. So only 13 are there. Usually 15 will attend. Who 2 will attend? Come and join. Krishna has tower problem. Even me too has now tower problem and even data problem also. So I need to complete the class soon today, since I already had 2 classes. So I don't have data, only less data I have. With that, I need to complete your class, and tomorrow I will be uploading this video. Okay. Today I may not upload the video. Tomorrow I will upload the today's class video.
Okay, ma'am.
Anybody else will join? 14 have joined, I think so. Okay, let me continue. If anybody is waiting, just tell me. So what is the source of light we'll be using for UV? D2 lamp. For visible, W lamp. D2 and W. If any instrument, if you find D2 and W, it represents deuterium and tungsten lamp, UV and visible lamp. Okay, when you're operating the instrument, UV visible instrument or HPLC, for detection purpose, will be finding D2 and W. Wherever you see in the analytical instrument D2 represents UV lamp. W represents a visible lamp. Okay, so that is deuterium and tungsten. What is the role of source of light? It converts electrical energy to radiation energy. So when electrical energy is passed to the lamp, it is emitting radiation energy. What radiation it emits? D2 and W, UV visible radiation. What is the range? 200 to 400 nanometer, and tungsten 400 to 800 nanometers. So in this range, your pi bond containing compounds, that is chromophoric substances, will absorb the radiation. Okay, so your absorbed radiation only is analyzed. And when wavelength is increasing, energy will be decreasing. So at the end of visible radiation, energy will be reduced. At the starting point of UV, the energy will be high. Okay, so where UV radiations will be having high energetic radiation when comparing with visible radiation. Okay, let's move on to the monochromators. Next part of instrument is what? Monochromators. So in this we have discussed classification and types of instruments, source of light. Now let's move on to the third part, monochromators. What are mono? Represents single. Uniform. Mono. Chromators means radiation. Here colored radiation. Chrome represents color. Color here represents the intensity of radiation, that is electromagnetic radiation. So the mechanism of monochromators are, it will convert polychromatic light to monochromatic light. Polychromatic means that will be mixed with many number of radiation, many number of radiations, that is converted to only segregated, means separated or single wavelength radiation is converted by means of monochromators. Okay, so see, the white light in the picture represents polychromatic light, so which may comprises of all interfering radiations. When it is passed to the monochromator will be having like this gratings. You can see the rulings and the green color thing. So this is called a monochromator. It is known as dispersion device. When the radiation, that is incident light, is coming from source, that is white light coming from source, when it strikes on the monochromator, it is dispersed into individual wavelengths. So then through the exit slit, whatever radiation we are fixing in the instrument, we need to get that will be passed through the exit slit, where other radiations will be emitted. Okay, so only from if you require only fixed wavelength, if you require like 400 nanometer or 50 nanometer you require, if you feed that amount of radiation in the instrument, only it will select that monochromatic light. Or else if you give some range 200 to 400 with a 5 nanometer or 2 nanometer difference, then it will be giving uniformly that range of radiation. So that is the role of monochromators. Okay, it will avoid all unwanted radiations, only it sends the required radiation for analysis. So polychromatic light, that is white light or stray light, it will be converted to monochromatic light. Light with interfering radiation will be converted to pure light, which is required for analysis. That is the role of monochromators. So what is the role of monochromator? It converts polychromatic light to monochromatic light. Now let's move on to the next slide, types of monochromators. Okay, now in this slide we have seen what is monochromator, its mechanism. It converts polychromatic light to monochromatic light. What is the mechanism of source of light? It converts electrical energy to radiation energy. What is the role of monochromator? Converts polychromatic light to monochromatic light. Okay, now let's see the different types of monochromators. Since based on the different types of monochromators only, instrument also divided into two categories categories we discussed, right? That is single beam instruments and double beam instruments. So you can find here single beam and double beam instruments, and the picture here represents filter types of monochromator, and here represents monochromators. Monochromators itself. These are filters, these are monochromators. Okay, so in single beam instruments, mostly you can find filters. In double beam instruments, there are two kind of monochromators are used. One is prisms, another one is monochromators itself. Okay, in double beam, there are two kinds of monochromators. One is prism type monochromators. Second one is monochromators. In single beam instruments, only filters. Okay, filters are of two types: absorption filters and emission filters. Absorption and emission filters, where prisms of two types: quartz prisms, prisms made with quartz and prisms made with glass. Then monochromators of based on the principle, they are divided into diffraction gratings. Diffraction gratings, grating monochromator of diffraction gratings. It is based on principle, it is classified the monochromators. So this is what the classification of monochromators used in UV visible instruments. Okay, so what are the two category of monochromators based on single beam and double beam instruments? Then for single beam instrument, their filter type monochromators are used. In double beam instruments, either prisms or monochromators are used. In double beam, mostly comparing with prisms, monochromators are preferred, that are grating monochromators, and which follows diffraction principle. Okay, now let's see the mechanism behind each monochromator. First, let's see what is a filter, how the filters are functioning. You can see the filter here, green interference filter. It is passed with red color light, green and blue color light, where it emits or it avoids red color and blue color light, and only it allows the green light. This is what the filter does. Okay, it selects only wanted radiation, where it reflects or it is eliminating other radiations. Okay, interfering radiations will be eliminated, only required radiation is filtered. So based on the mechanism of absorption and emission filters, when absorption filters will send the radiation from 200 to 400 nanometer, where emission filters will send the radiation from 400 to 800 nanometer. In visible range, emission filters will send the radiation. In UV range, absorption filters will send the radiation. Okay, so absorption filters will send only UV range. In emission filters, only visible range of radiation will be passed to the sample. So filters functions based on the filtration of light through filters. Okay, filtration process. Principle behind filters are filtration only. It filters off unwanted radiation. Only it chooses wanted radiation for the sample. So how it filters off? Based on absorption and emission type of filters. Then now let's move on to the prism type. You can see the prism monochromators. When the incident light is passed on to the prism, it may be made with quartz material or glass material. Okay, quartz material, when we will prefer, means when UV radiation only is applied to the sample. In that case, we need to use quartz made prisms, where glass made prisms are used for visible radiation analysis. Okay, so accordingly to the light radiation used for analysis, we need to choose the material of prism. When white light is passed on to the prism will be rotating. Okay, it will be rotating prism. So when it rotates, it disperses the light into different wavelength of radiation, and through the slit it passes only the required radiation. You can see the blue light only is passed, since only that range we would have fixed in the instrument, where other radiations will not be allowed to pass through the sample. So this is what prisms functions. So what is the principle of prisms? The dispersion. It will disperse the light by means of rotating. Prisms will be rotating in nature. So when it rotates, whatever received light, whatever light received will be dispersed into individual radiation, separated or segregated radiation from the white light is obtained. And this segregated radiation of fixed wavelength will be sent to the sample. Fixed wavelength or fixed range of radiation will be passed to the sample. So prism functions based on dispersion, filters functions based on filtration. Filtration, this is dispersion process. Then let's see about monochromators. Monochromators of diffraction gratings. You can see the gratings means the rulings present over the surface of monochromator. That is called as grating monochromator. So when the white light, that is polychromatic light, is passed on to the diffraction grating, it diffracts the light. Diffraction is also nothing but like reflection only. So when it diffracts, it is splitted into individual wavelengths by means of gratings present over the surface. Gratings you can see like rulings. Okay, in the road and all you can find like some rough surface, right? Likewise, the rough surface present over the grating monochromator will make the radiation to split into individual wavelengths according to the fixed wavelength difference. Okay, so that we'll be getting monochromatic light. So polychromatic light is converted to monochromatic light based on the principle of diffraction process. So what is the monochromator used? Grating monochromator. Grating represents grating means ruling or rough surface. Okay, like you will be making a coconut pieces, right? Granules. That device used is called as grating. Likewise, some grating material will be there to convert means polychromatic light to monochromatic light. So it follows the function of diffraction principle. So these are all the different types of monochromators which converts polychromatic light to monochromatic light. Filters of unwanted radiation and passes only needed radiation by means of filtration process. Prisms will convert polychromatic light to monochromatic light through dispersion process by means of rotating prisms. Then monochromators will convert by means of diffraction gratings. It will diffract the radiation of polychromatic light to monochromatic light. Thereby we get monochromatic light from the polychromatic light, and now the selected monochromatic light will be passed on to the sample for its analysis. So next part of instrument will be sample cells. Sample cells used in the UV visible instrument. So now we have discussed what are all the parts: source of light and monochromators and types of monochromators. Now let's move on to sample cells. Okay. And sample cells in the UV visible spectroscopic analysis are called as cuvettes. Sample cells are called as cuvettes. You can find two types of cuvettes, cylindrical and rectangular cuvettes, and the capacity of cuvettes will be of 3.5 ml, and the path length means this is the diameter. You can say path length between two surfaces, and the length between two surfaces of cuvettes are 1 centimeter. So this is fixed length only, and this parameter is applicable during quantitative analysis. Okay, so what are the types of cuvettes are there? Cylindrical and rectangular cuvettes. They will be having path length of 1 centimeter. So the capacity, how much volume it can occupy, means maximum of 3.5 ml. Okay, you should have seen the calorimeter. You should have already handled. So during calorimetric analysis, you should have used cylindrical cuvettes. They are like appearing like test tubes. So the content it will occupy maximum 3.5 ml. Okay, so the path length will be of 1 centimeter. There are two kind of cuvettes, cylindrical and rectangular. Where in which type of instrument we will be using cylindrical means in calorimeters. In single beam filter types of instruments, cylindrical cuvettes are used, mainly calorimeter. Likewise, and calorimeter spelling you need to note down, that is COLORIMETR. COLO, colored radiations are means colored solutions are analyzed, mostly visible spectroscopy. This is varying from calorimetry, that is starting with the means letter CA. CO represents color, that is UV visible spectroscopy, where calorimetry represents thermal analysis, physical method. Thermogravimetric analysis, where we'll be using calorimetry. Differential scanning calorimetry also you will be studying, so don't confuse with the terms. Calorimetry is different, calorimetry is different. Calorie depends on the energy, thermal energy, and calorie represent visible energy, colored radiation. Okay. And the rectangular cuvettes are used in double beam spectrophotometers. This is what the instrument you could find in our lab also, these two instruments. In a calorimeter, you will be using cylindrical cuvettes. In double beam spectrophotometers, you will be using rectangular cuvettes. Okay. And in UV, we'll be using quartz made cuvettes. In visible, we'll be using glass cuvettes. Okay. Why quartz cuvettes are used for UV means, if we use the glass cuvettes, it will be absorbing UV radiation. The glass will absorb UV radiation and it will interfere with the sample analysis. So that we need to use quartz cuvettes. You can see the rough surface on both the side. It has 4 sides. Rectangular cuvette is having 4 sides. Rectangular cuvette is having 4 sides. The 2 surfaces are coated with quartz. Rough surfaces, you can see it is coated with quartz material, since it was
Junaid wants to join.
Junaida, just wait. Ask him to join now.
Okay.
Joined. 14 are there.
I have informed him.
What, ma?
I have informed.
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 Okay. Now 15 are there. But Junaid has not joined, pa. Only 15 are there. Okay, if he comes, let me admit. So what are the kind of sample cells we'll be using in UV visible analysis? Cylindrical and rectangular shaped cuvettes. They are called as cuvettes. Sample cells are called as cuvettes. What is the capacity? 3.5 ml, path length 1 centimeter. Okay. They are of cylindrical and rectangular cuvettes. Cylindrical cuvettes are used in single beam filter types of instruments, that is very low cost instruments. We will be using cylindrical type cuvettes. Example, calorimeter. Likewise, rectangular type cuvettes are used in double beam UV visible spectrophotometers. This is of 2 types of cuvettes in double beam are used. One is quartz cuvette, another one is glass cuvette. Quartz cuvette will be used for UV, where glass cuvette will be used for visible. Why it is particularly made with quartz means, since glass will absorb UV radiation, there is loss of radiation energy occurs, so it will interfere with the absorption result of your sample. To avoid that, to get a accurate result, we need to use quartz cuvette, where the 2 surfaces in rectangular cuvette will be coated with quartz. Only the 2 surfaces will be allowed to pass UV, where the sample will be placed. Okay, so other surfaces will not allow UV radiation and will not absorb UV radiation. So only negligible amount of UV radiation will be absorbed by the glass that is present on other 2 surfaces, that is transparent surfaces. So in the cuvette, you can find two translucent surfaces and two transparent surfaces. Transparent surfaces will allow UV radiation, where translucent surfaces made with quartz will not allow UV radiation. Okay, that is the concept. We'll be using two types of cuvettes. One is made with quartz and another one is made with glass. Where cylindrical will be made with only glass, like test tube it will appear, and it is made with only glass since it is applicable only for colorimetric analysis, visible spectrometric analysis. Okay. Colorimetry is otherwise known as visible spectroscopy. And we are combinedly using, since both the radiations will be applicable for absorption and analysis of chromophoric substances. That is why it is combinedly used. And both the principles of UV and visible is coupled to perform in the same instrument. Okay, so that it is called UV visible spectrophotometer. This is what about sample cells. So what are known as sample cells are cuvettes. How you will call sample cells in spectrophotometer? Cuvettes. Okay. What is the path length? 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter path length cuvette. What will be the capacity? So how much amount you require minimum sample to analyze taking in the sample cell? 3.5 ml. So minimum of 5 ml you need to prepare the sample to analyze in UV visible spectroscopy, so that it will occupy 3.5 ml in the cuvette. Only 3/4 will be taking the sample. 3/4 around 3 ml it will consume. Okay, so accordingly you need to prepare the sample for analysis. Okay, joined up Junais? No. Okay. So this is about sample cell. Now let's move on to the sample type of sample preferred for UV visible analysis. This is also most important part. During the selection of sample and type of solution you are preparing, accordingly you can go with the UV analysis or visible analysis. This is the difference between UV and visible. Wherever you are finding the difference between UV and visible, just observe. Okay, in source of light, what is the difference? In monochromators, what is the difference, or whether similarity it has or difference it has? And in monochromators parts, based on the types of instruments, what are all the difference you are finding? And in cuvette, what are all the difference between UV and visible you are observing? And in the sample, what differences we are observing? You need to note down. When it is asked for differentiate the two techniques, then you need to differentiate the two techniques. Okay. So UV will be analyzing, in UV will be analyzing colorless solutions. Colorless monophasic solutions, will not use biphasic. Only clear solution, monophasic clear solution of colorless solutions are analyzed in UV spectroscopy, where in visible spectroscopy will be analyzing colored solutions. Okay, visible, so that it is called as colorimetry. Visible spectroscopy is otherwise known as colorimetry, where UV is known as only UV spectroscopy. Okay, where we can analyze colorless solution in visible. Colored solution can be analyzed in colorimetry or visible spectroscopy. Okay, and nature of sample, compound with chromophore can be analyzed. What is chromophore? It is a unsaturated or double bonded system or conjugated system. It can be called with 3 terms: unsaturated system, double bonded system, or conjugated system present in the molecule is called as chromophore. So compound with chromophore can be analyzed by both UV and visible spectroscopy. Okay, what is the concentration range of this sample can be prepared? From microgram to milligram. Not a more amount we need to prepare. We have to make your sample. If you are weighing in gram also, it must be diluted to microgram to milligram concentration range. So what will be the concentration range? Microgram to milligram. That is 10 power minus 6 gram to 10 power minus 3 gram. Then what are the solvents are used to make this dilution of the sample? Chromophoric sample, how it is diluted to get either colorless solution or colored solution? It will be diluted with polar solvents like water, methanol, ethanol. Mostly polar solvents we need to use. In case if you use non-polar solvents, when you are pouring in the cuvette, it will be start evaporating inside the instrument and you won't get no uniform absorbance. Since we need to use polar solvents in which which your sample is dissolved completely. Okay, in which solvent your sample is getting dissolved completely, that solvent to be used. So what mostly you will be preferring polar solvents, since your samples will be mostly of polar in nature. Already we have discussed under HPLC about polarity. So the all drug molecules will be of polar molecules, maximum, majorly it will be polar. So we need to prefer polar solvents. So definitely it will be dissolved in polar solvents. So we could prefer polar solvents like water, methanol and ethanol. So this is how your sample is preferred. And whatever solvent you are preferring should not absorb between UV visible range. It should not have any absorbance between 200 to 800 nanometer. If at all the solvent absorbs, you need to find out the wavelength, at what wavelength your solvent has absorbance between UV visible range, and that wavelength is called as cutoff wavelength. Cutoff wavelength. I'll give you cutoff wavelength spelling in the chat box now. Cutoff wavelength. So cutoff wavelength is nothing but the solvent, lambda max of solvent. What lambda max, or what absorbance solvent is having between UV visible range. Okay, between 200 to 800 nanometer. That is the range your sample need to be absorbed. If at all any solvent is absorbing in that range, mostly in UV region it will be absorbing at 210, below 210 the solvents mostly it will be absorbing. So that wavelength is called cutoff wavelength. So if you find any absorbance in the spectrum in that range, that is of your solvent. So you need to know the cutoff wavelength of solvent, and it should not interfere with your sample absorbance. Likewise, after knowing only, you need to select the solvent from polar category. Okay, mostly water, methanol, ethanol will be compatible with any sample. So we can prefer this solvents, polar solvents. This is how we need to use and select the samples. Colorless solutions, in which spectroscopy we will be analyzing colorless samples, UV spectroscopy. Colored samples, invisible spectroscopy. What type of samples are analyzed in both the techniques? Chromophoric substances. What concentration range for both the techniques? Microgram to milligram. What type of solvents are chosen? Polar solvents. Either water, methanol and ethanol. Okay. So the next we'll see about principle of sample interaction. This already we have seen. Electronic transitions occurs. So chromophores, what type of substances we are going to analyze? Chromophoric substances, and that chromophores will interact with the UV visible radiation. Okay, chromophores, unsaturated system, will interact with UV visible radiation. So it absorbs radiation energy. What process it takes place? Absorption of photons, photons of UV visible radiation. Then electronic transitions will occur. Sigma, pi and n electrons transition will occur, where sigma electrons will absorb UV range, vacuum UV range, and pi and n electrons are responsible for absorbing the radiation. Then it moves from ground state to excited state. Okay, that is occupied orbital will be converted to unoccupied orbital. Okay, occupied orbital will be called as ground state, where the electrons will be in opposite spin, where when it is moved on to the excited state, electrons will be unpaired. It become unpaired, where in ground state it will be in paired condition. That's what we have seen in the first slide itself. Let me show you. Here you can see the electrons of opposite spin, and it will be paired. When it is going to excited state, it will become unpaired. Unpaired opposite spin it will be having. Okay, it becomes unpaired. So that is unoccupied orbital. Even orbital will not be occupied, and now it is occupied, filled orbital. It is unfilled orbital will be there at excited state, and that is unstable state. Again, it will be coming to the ground state of paired condition or filled orbitals. Okay. So that is what taking place, conversion from ground state to excited state. And how much amount of radiation is absorbed to convert the electron from ground state to excited state will be obtained by, from absorption spectrum. We'll be studying or interpreting the absorption spectrum to know about what compound has been absorbed and how much amount of radiation has been absorbed by the chromophore will be analyzed in nanometers, and what maximum radiation is absorbed by the chromophore is called as lambda max. Lambda represents what? Wavelength. Maximum represents maximum wavelength absorbed by the compound is called as lambda max, and it is unique for each and every compound. So lambda max will be considered as qualitative respect. Like in chromatography, we have seen RF value, RT value, and all, no, like qualitative parameter. Likewise, in spectroscopy also, qualitative parameter for mainly UV visible spectrum, qualitative parameter is lambda max. That also we'll be discussing in the forthcoming class. Okay, so with this I am stopping today's class. Remaining part we'll discuss in the next class. Okay, about their chromophores types and all we'll be discussing. Solvent effects, shifts, this all will be discussing. Remaining parameters as per your syllabus will be discussed in the next class. So what are the things we have discussed now? Source of light, monochromators, types of monochromators, and sample cells and types of samples analyzed. I have seen source of light, monochromators, types of monochromators, sample cells, types of sample cells, then sample and kind of sample analyzed in each spectroscopy, then principle of sample interaction. This all we have discussed. The remaining part we'll discuss in the next class. Is there any doubt in this? Okay, all of you kindly mark your attendance in the classroom. We'll stop the class now. If you don't have any doubts, then we'll stop the class. We'll discuss remaining parts in the next class. If you have any doubt, you can clarify in the next class also.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Pa.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Okay, ma'am.
Take
Thank
care.
you, ma'am.
All of you take care. Be
Thank
safe.
you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Pa.